So here we are back for a second go round with y'all, Andy and Sara Price. We're so happy to be in your new home. And a lot has happened since we talked. I think the last time we did this was over 2 years ago. And I think the best thing about the whole thing is out of 100 videos, you guys are number 2. That video ranked number 2. So
We should be number 1.
well, we're hoping that this one's going to take us over the edge. So we obviously are using you handsome people for clickbait. But again, a lot has happened. So I think we can start at the beginning of our relationship, which is when I sold you your first house. And how long ago was that?
3 years ago.
So in 3 years, when the whole world was melting down in COVID, you guys bought a home in Cabo. And how much longer was it before you sold that? Or I sold that home for you, which went very quickly.
Only a year and a half.
Okay, so halfway, you sold that house, and then you decided that you were going to build a new house.
Well, we decided to build the house, and then we decided to sell the other house. That's the sequence. Yeah, we were never going to sell that house. I mean, that was a quaint, cute house. It was one of the original casinos. It was in a great spot. Loved the neighborhood. It was kind of a charming setup. And we had no intention of selling that house at all. But when we thought about this plot of land and the view and the neighborhood that was going to be built up here, we thought it was too interesting to pass up. And so that's what we, as you know, got in contract to build this place. And when we did that, we figured why hang on to 2 houses. We then worked with you, as you know, to orchestrate a really fantastic transition where we found a buyer and then had a great term with the buyer where we could stay in that house for whatever it was, 6 months after purchase, after they purchased the place and, fully went hard in contract. And I thought that was a unique setup that you pulled off for us. So thank you for that. So then we had, we were 7, 8 months out of the neighborhood before this place was finished. So that wasn't too much disruption. Worked out great.
So here we are in your new home. You've managed to build it, design it. There was a lot that happened all through that process. You guys were great clients. And the end product is amazing. And I think I always love it because so many people, when they talk about building a house, everyone's had a nightmare builder story. And I mean, obviously we're in another country. I mean, this isn't the US, we're in Mexico. And so tell us a little bit about the process and be candid. You don't have to candy coat anything. Tell us what it was like and tell us about the process.
I will say, so it was pretty much 2 years to the T from buying the dirt to being in the house. And there were some complications doing it in COVID in a different country, but I mean, overall, I think it was, pretty incredible. There were some delays, as can be expected, which, and I learned so much this process. I worked with an incredible design architect who taught me so much, and the building team here. And they everybody was pretty transparent about everything and really willing to work with us and explain things. And as things came up, and as we know, inflation and parts and trying to get things, there was a lot of things that were like, this isn't going to happen. But then there were also solutions offered and ways to work around everything. So, I mean, am I going to say that it wasn't, that it was like this dream process that was so easy? No, of course, it was complicated and it was hard and it was a lot of work. But, the team really worked with us, and the end result was better than I ever could have really imagined. So overall, it was amazing, really amazing.
Do you have anything to add, Mr. Price?
Yeah, I mean, I think what Sara said that was really most important was the timing of the build. You're building in the middle of a couple of pretty interesting situations. COVID's one of them. So supply chain.
So many things.
And then the biggest thing was inflation. So if I'm really honest, I feel like you didn't hear any complaints from me. You basically didn't hear anything. Sara was in the fray every day dealing with the designer, the builder. Nobody heard any complaints from me because I was kind of in disbelief that we were even reasonably within sight of our delivery date. And so given that inflation drove everything crazy, we were worried actually privately that the developer and you guys were all going to lose money on the house because we don't know how, I think material costs went up 30% inside of a year. And our price was fixed. So we felt like we got the best deal in history. And there's very little to complain about. If there was something big, we felt like we could reach out to Robert. And Robert Jones is an incredible, highly ethical, highly competent person, a very elegant man. And we trust him. And so we felt like if there was something really big that needed to be addressed and corrected, we had that person. I think that makes you sleep well at night knowing you're doing a big project like this. If you have the developer, the top exec, is the head of the construction business effectively is that type of person. That made it a lot easier to do everything here. He was really, really special to deal with it. What are you laughing about? The dog.
Yes, and you can introduce Pork Chop, who's falling out of
Pork Chop.
licking my Pork Chop.
It's too late they can stare at.
So maybe that's a segue into our relationship, just not with Pork Chop. Right. So through all this process, this 3-year process, we have become very good friends, and my wife and you have become particularly, great friends.
You guys are family to us.
Yeah, and we feel the same. In fact, so much so that we bought the lot next door, and we're building a house. So we're soon to be neighbors, which is either going to be the best thing in this world, but
It'd be great.
We're looking forward to it a lot. You guys have. It's really interesting.
Don't know that Steph and I are planning a tunnel, and then like the zip line from your guys' offices.
Well, that's like planned.
In all seriousness, I don't know very many people who have bought houses from their real estate agents and then think of them like family. I don't know.
And then built a house together, and we're still friends. In spite of all the challenges, we're still the best of friends, and we love you guys. And it's just been a really interesting dynamic that we've become so close.
I will say that we were starting on this journey. We looked at Chileno. I'm going to go on record. And the sales exec at Chileno, contrasted by you, we don't have to name names here, infuriated my wife to the point where I've never seen her more irritated with any human being in the last 6 years that I've known her than that person. And it helped a lot that when she met you, she thought you were really authentic and the team was really high touch. Even though our purchase price of the first house was pretty small, we're sort of dipping our toe in the Cabo waters, if you will, real estate wise, and sort of playing around with it. And now this was a much bigger thing. So I think it actually does matter when you trust the people you're doing business with in a country like this, where everything's all cash. And it's a meaningful decision that you're making financially and otherwise, that trust is a real factor. I think you should take some credit that this friendship is built on trust and genuine enjoyment of your company and Stephanie's.
Well, one of my topics was, you kind of jumped ahead, is that I remember when we first met that you were thinking, and I wasn't going to name the place, but you were thinking about buying somewhere else. In retrospect, when you kind of go back through that logic and how you bought here and how much you loved it, I mean, let's talk about the community, because there's obviously something about this place besides us that makes you, because you've fallen in love and you've doubled your investment here. So you have a significant investment in Del Mar.
I think it is the community. And yes, okay, it's Stephanie first, but it is the community. It's the community of people. We have so many friends, the healthcare, the restaurants. There's real life here. He can work. I can go to school. There's things he can be busy all day. There's a community. There's a real. I think we have a closer community here than we do back in the States, as far as like the people that we live amongst. And I think there's something to be said about somebody's sick, everyone's dropping off soup or offering to go do errands for you, or whatever it may be. There's a really amazing, tight-knit community, and I don't think that I haven't sensed that elsewhere.
Well, I think I have a lot of good friends that are down there and in other developments here, and I think one of the things about the community that's interesting is you want the community when you want it, and then you don't want it when you don't want it. You want anonymity, and so we have with 11 restaurants within golf cart ride. As you know, I have the slowest golf cart ever made. And I can still get to any place within about 5 minutes. There are 11 places to eat. So we can be completely anonymous within a 6-minute golf cart ride Or we can have, a get together with 30 of our close friends here. And, you feel like any one of these people would do anything for you and would do anything for them. That's rare. We didn't even know these people before 3 years ago. And they're not from the Bay Area. They're from Texas or from Nashville. They're from, some are Canadians. I mean, there's people from all over. Some of them are local Mexicans. And so I think the other thing I should comment on briefly is that I think that the local community is actually much beyond Palmia. Palmia, we all know, is OG. And it's built, it's grown, it feels like Mediterranean, it feels like old Europe. You feel like you might as well be in this really charming, grown in place, right? It's like, it's beautiful physically, and then the rolling hills and the setup. And but I will tell you that the other thing I've found is that the local Mexicans, we've become very good friends with some of them. And we feel embraced by the local people. And that's not in a way that is contrived in any way in our view. We've met their friends, their relatives. We went to a wedding a couple of weeks ago with one of them. And they're some of our best friends in the world now. So I think there is actually a much broader community that you feel you can tap into anytime. We volunteer a lot with some of the local people. They're very warm and friendly and welcoming. And so it's very interesting. The only fear that we have about the community is that other people will find out about it and come down here in droves and say, forget the United States, I want to live in Baja. Like that's actually a real thing. It's happening, regardless of whether we want it to happen, it's happening. I think the word's out.
I just think there's one other really important thing to touch on, at least that's been really salient in my life over the past, year and a half, and the access to incredible healthcare that people in the States can't comprehend. It's just I've never been so, disappointed and scared and afraid of the healthcare system in the United States. And then, coming here and having, cutting edge treatments and personal accountability and new technologies, and you text your doctor who cares, and that is something that has changed my life and saved my life and continues to do so, and has such a profound effect. And I think that's something that people do not associate, and even when I tell them, my experiences, they cannot believe it. So and again, don't want to get the word out too much because, but
there's nothing hyperbolic to what she's just said about saving her life. The doctor was the only one who found out that the reaction to the COVID vaccine that Sara was having was life-threatening. And he got her on exactly the right meds at exactly the right time and truly saved her life. I just think in the United States, you don't even get called back from your doctor for weeks. And if you do, they schedule months out. It's really not okay. And so I think that she's nailed a really important piece down here. And, you can do some things that are really interesting.
Really
mRNA, stem cells, stuff like that everybody knows is interesting, but the U.S. for some reason has slowed it down because it doesn't feed the biotech or whoever the pharma company's agendas or whatever. But they don't have those constraints here, and it's all very safe. We feel like we're in great hands health-wise.
And as you know, Stephanie, my wife, had the same situation. I mean, so I think it will be hard for people to understand and believe what you're saying, but it is true. We've lived it. We've accepted the gift, and but to your point, we may have a lot more people down here because of that.
We have multiple examples that are concrete examples of real modalities that have been deployed that you can't even get access to in the States, where people have real results. And these are people that we know, and there's no agenda to make it up. We're not selling anything here.
Right.
Yes, I make no money off of it.
Yeah,
It's just helping.
I'm going to tell anybody on this conversation who the doctor is. He's very special.
Yeah. Well, one of my other topics and since I know you so well, is that, you guys are even contemplating spending more and more and more time here, and perhaps even a permanent move, when your family's all grown. And so you're kind of looking forward and thinking, this may be at least a primary home, if not full-time.
The plan of record is that this is our primary home.
Yeah.
When the last kid is out of high school. That's it.
Yeah. Well, that's very interesting. And I believe that's a trend, kind of globally. I think there's a lot of people that are exiting the US or Canada and choosing the place based on their experiences and lifestyle and everything. So I think it's very curious. And I think that's the fact that you're contemplating that, other people are probably doing the same. So
Yeah, no one loves the United States more than we do. I mean, family's been in the country for 400 years, but it's not about the United States. It's just about the
quality of
the
life.
quality of life.
Quality of life.
It's just unmatched.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the house, because we're sitting here in your beautiful home, and it's all finished, and I think you guys are really enjoying it. So my question to each of you is, what is your favorite part of the house? Because I know my favorite part of your house, and I'm just curious, what your favorite part is.
You want to go first?
You go first. You built it. This is her baby. This is her project. Every inch.
Okay, so it's still not 100% done, so it's a little biased. But no, I mean, honestly, my favorite part is the pool, like hands down. We spend a lot of time in the pool with the dogs. The view, I just love it. I love the white. The pool,
Cool. Okay.
especially when the whales are jumping in the background. But I mean, I don't know if that counts as
No, that's
favorite part
absolutely,
in
that's
the
a component
house,
of the house. What about you, Andy?
and the master.
It is really hard to pick one thing. I love the flow of it, just the atmosphere. You're sort of moving around freely, and the acoustics when you play some music or listen to music, or just the way somehow it repels heat and keeps itself kind of cool during the day. And so, but if you ask me if there was a specific spot where I'd rather be more often than not, it's out of the deck.
So outdoor living. It's funny that you built this magnificent house. You put all this detail and interior design and furnishings, and both of your favorite parts are
But I
outside.
will also say, like, our master bedroom is like my dream master bedroom. Like, I love it. I love going to sleep there at night. I love waking up. I love it. So if I had to pick a place in the house, it would be in the master
So
bedroom.
I would say that you love it. I mean, would that be a fair assessment?
It's safe to
Great.
say, but still.
Cool. Is there anything you'd change? I mean, those are the two bookends of that conversation. Is there anything you would change about it?
Maybe not change, maybe just continue to like add or upgrade,
So what's next? What's the next? I mean, I'm curious what
You don't
you're
want
adding.
You don't want
I just want to know.
to.
Zip line to your house.
Zip line to your house.
No, for real. I think what we're working on now is just planting vegetation and things like that. Yeah, fine tuning, like how the atrium work. We're kind of
We're fine.
OCD types in terms of wanting everything to be ideal. She's more so than myself. But when it comes to houses, like I want stones to be a certain specific size, certain specific color. And we're working on screening and just the tweaking, just the final touches you would put on a house. I don't think any house is ever done in theory, because you always play with them. When soon as you're done with them, you want to come play with them some more just to keep it interesting and keep it fresh. So I think there's plenty of things to do with that without
There'll be
disrupting
changes.
ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of the solidness of the house. Is we don't have to change anything architecturally or knock out any walls or anything like that.
No.
All we have to do is add interesting little touches to it.
A wall here and there,
Yeah.
texture.
Yeah, texture,
Yeah.
mostly texture and planting. Yeah. And we've been buying art from local artists lately, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I love your art.
And so that's been neat. And you can keep going with stuff like that. And
Right.
there's so many interesting options. I think that there are millions of little things like that swirling around our heads. Oh, can we screen this? Can we screen that? What about this plant? Can we relocate that plant? This one's blooming. Should we do more of those? That's kind of fun.
You've hosted a lot of people here. I mean, you didn't waste any time. I think the day the house was finished, you invited 10 people. And so you've hosted a lot of your family, your friends. And so you like entertaining your family and friends. So how's that working out? Is the house delivering on those?
I would say one of the things I like most about the house is that there are so many separate spaces. Like I have my office, you can see that he has his office upstairs. There's 2 full bedrooms. Every room is a full bedroom. There's plenty of space. So, it is nice. Having a lot of, I don't love chaos. And so I do feel like when we do have a lot of people around, there is a lot of space for everyone. So that feels
And it
good.
distributes
It's
people.
distributed well.
So we've had, you have 10 people in a house, which we have. And there are times you don't see anybody. They can be completely different zones of the house, and that is a big deal. So I feel like if people are going to build a house, they should build it in just, where the setup is distributed. You have actually 4 zones. You have the casita, my office, and then, you have north and south and bedrooms. And I think that really distributes humans efficiently. I think that's highly advised.
And
Because if they're on top of each other, it's like,
And our master is the only thing on that side of the house, which is nice.
Very private.
yeah.
Well, that covers all the topics. Is there anything that you want to, in closing, is there anything you want to share?
I want to share your nickname.
Should I get to share yours too? I don't know.
I've been trying to make it happen, and I've been taking it upon myself. This is Shifty. Shifty Baldwin.
Yeah, true. But it's starting to stick, I think.
It's sticking. We're making it happen.
It's getting stickier.
Mighty Mouse?
Yeah, Mighty Mouse. From yours is Mighty Mouse. And I think that's starting to catch on too.
Make it happen.
Okay, Mr.
No, we just want to say thank you for everything. Really genuinely appreciate it. It's funny when you reflect back on the original video that we did. We didn't know what we were doing. We were brand new into the neighborhood, we were just kind of playing around, and now we're like, wow. I mean, and this is the only house I've had in 30 years of whatever thinking about real estate in my adult life where I'm not like, okay, what's the next place, or what's up with this place? Why is it not perfect here? Why is it not perfect there? This is the only place that's ever been built where I had a certain real estate agent say, hey, you can make a bunch of money if you flip it, and be like, don't ever even talk about that. This place is not for sale. There's not a price anyone can offer us for this house. And I don't think I ever had
Keep that in
that.
mind.
I saw that on the note sheet.
But what does that mean? What does that mean? That means that you are truly happy with your purchase when it's not remotely for sale.
Gotcha.
It's a first.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for allowing us into your new home. It's amazing. We can't wait to move in and become neighbors, and you'll see a lot more of us. But thanks again, really.
Good deal.
For everything.
Thank you.